a story that unfolds before you, and you've played her this way, but by the time you get here, you realize, oh, when he has the Medea voice, then we know, okay, ha, ha, ha.
Right.
When he has Tyler's voice, usually his legs spread out, and
He's
the wig
sitting there
slides back, and he's saying, okay, Cassie, don't do that. Could you try to do blah, blah, blah.
Cassi Davis wasn't just another actress in Tyler Perry's world. She was his ride or die, the soul of his empire, until whispers started spreading that she knew too much. From shady business moves to secret power plays behind the cameras, insiders say Cassie carried knowledge that could blow Perry's carefully polished empire wide open.
It's Mr. Perry's classic. You know, this is really, I pray there's a Boo 3.
And when she allegedly tried to break her silence, things didn't just get messy. They turned downright chilling. Fans are now questioning, was Cassie pushed into the shadows? Did Perry have a hand in her sudden health struggles? And most importantly, what truth did she hold that made her such a threat to one of Hollywood's richest moguls?
These people really do this for a living? Like, you can just make money like this?
Yeah. Cassie wasn't some background player. She was the heartbeat of Perry's universe. As Medea's no-nonsense cousin and the soul of House of Pain, she became a household name, someone audiences rooted for year after year. She wasn't just cast, she was family, but out of nowhere, she began fading from the spotlight, and the silence around her disappearance was deafening.
Thank you to the cast of House of Pain. Please wrap up. Thank you.
Cassie later revealed she had been battling Bell's palsy, a condition that drastically changed her appearance. Fans rushed to send love, but a darker question lingered. Where was Tyler in all this? The man who brands his cast as family, the mogul who brags about giving second chances, was nowhere to be seen.
There's some trying times going on, and you can see it. I have Bell's palsy, and I contracted this March 11th of last year.
No public words of support, no social media posts, nothing. And that silence screamed louder than any headline. Sources close to the situation claimed things were unraveling long before her illness. Creative clashes, shifting priorities, and Cassie being quietly labeled as unfit for Perry's evolving empire. Some people whisper that Cassie was quietly pushed out the moment her looks no longer matched the image Hollywood executives demanded. If that's true, then the message is chilling. Was Cassie tossed aside, not because she lost her talent, but because she no longer fit the glossy brand Perry was selling? Even Cassie's own cryptic comments about their bond painted a picture of strain, moments where business came before friendship and loyalty was replaced with cold transactions. That doesn't sound like family at all. That sounds like straight-up betrayal. Fans can't ignore the pattern anymore. A beloved star falls ill, disappears from the spotlight, and suddenly the man she helped build into a billionaire is silent.
Daddy is not going to be able to take that. Medea, I don't know if they're going to let Medea come in there and be loving up on this.
To many, the timeline looks way too suspicious. Then came the fake death scandal. In February, rumors spread like wildfire claiming Cassi Davis had passed away from lung cancer at just 58 years old. A bogus article tricked thousands into believing it, leaving fans devastated. Tyler Perry rushed to Instagram to shut it down, posting a screenshot of the fake headline with "This is a lie" plastered in huge red letters. He claimed his phone had been blowing up with calls and messages, and that's what forced him to check if the news was even real. On Instagram audio, Perry said, "I just talked to her on the phone and she wasn't dead, but let me call her back." He even revealed that when he joked with Cassie asking, "You sure you're not dead?" she laughed it off, saying the food she was eating was so good it felt like heaven. Fans loved the humor, but others were unsettled by the whole exchange. Because here's the kicker. Rumors say this wasn't just a random hoax. Allegedly, insiders close to Cassie claim that Perry himself plays games like this, using fear and fake headlines to keep her in line and stop her from spilling what she knows. In the audio clip, Perry tried to laugh it off, but his caption told a deeper story. He wrote that after getting bombarded with condolence calls, he was shocked to learn people actually believed Cassie had died. He said someone even sent him the fake article, and his first thought was, how could she have died and nobody told me or her? So, he claimed, he picked up the phone and asked Cassie straight up if she was dead. Her fiery response, "Hell no!" Perry then went on a sermon-style rant, warning, whoever is responsible for this, please stop. Be careful when you speak death over a child of God. He reminded fans that Cassie was loved by millions and accused the rumors of hurting people unnecessarily. He painted the picture of Cassie as happy, healthy, and drama-free, living her best life with no social media, waiting patiently for the next season of House of Pain. But here's where things get sticky. Insiders insist Perry himself has been at the center of the very drama Cassie's been battling. Sure, his rise to fame is legendary, grinding in Atlanta's theater circuit, transforming Madea into a box office goldmine, and creating films that finally spotlighted Black stories Hollywood often ignored. But behind the curtain, some say Perry made deals and compromises so shady that people whisper he sold his soul to the devil.
Is the key, and I tell all these people coming up in the business who are doing incredible things, if you're not owning your product, if you're not owning what you're doing, you're not fully going to be able to affect change, because that's where all the change happens.
His path to mogul status hasn't been clean. Criticism has followed him every step of the way, and instead of backing down, Perry is known to double down, turning controversy into his own twisted fuel. The whispers don't stop there either. If the rumors are real, his ego grew so massive that it sparked a behind-the-scenes clash with none other than Oprah Winfrey herself.
He said, I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny.
The truth is, making it in Hollywood usually comes with skeletons in the closet, and Tyler Perry might just be sitting on a whole graveyard. But here's the real question. Why risk other people's livelihoods after stacking millions at the box office? Perry shifted gears to television and struck gold again with House of Pain. Then came the spin-off Meet the Browns. And just as syndication money was about to roll in, shocking news hit like a bombshell. Reports claim Perry abruptly fired 4 writers simply because they asked for union contracts. That move set off alarms, and the Writers Guild of America jumped in, accusing Perry's company of unfair labor practices and shady negotiations. The backlash was immediate, and the stain on his reputation was hard to ignore. I feel like I was slapped in the face like we were used, writer and WGA member Terry Brown Jackson blasted. We were good enough to create over 100 episodes, but now when it comes time to reap the benefits, syndication spin-offs, suddenly we're tossed aside unless we accept a horrible offer. The show's head writer, Kelly Griffin, took it even further, pointing out the irony. A lot of people fought for civil rights and social justice, but they never saw what really came out of their work. If this fight helps future Black writers get what they deserve, then maybe something good can come out of this mess. And Perry's solution? Instead of fixing the broken trust, he decided to wipe out the writer's room entirely. He bragged to ABC News that he now writes every script himself. Hundreds of episodes across multiple shows, all done by him. It was a power flex, sure, but critics say it was also about control, making sure no one else had the leverage to demand their fair cut. But the drama didn't stop there. In 2015, Perry's empire faced another strike, this time from the actors. 2 major unions banned their members from performing in his touring stage play Madea on the Run after his production company, flat out, refused to sign a union contract. IndieWire reported that the decision dealt Perry a serious blow, exposing his unwillingness to play by the same rules as the rest of Hollywood. Union contracts are designed to protect actors, outlining fair wages, safe working conditions, and employer responsibilities. Perry's refusal, just like with the writers, painted him as a man who didn't want to be tied down to agreements that might cut into his profits.
It's just like, wow, these people really do this for a living? Like, you can just make money like this?
Yeah.
And have fun?
At the end of the day, one thing became crystal clear. Tyler Perry might call his cast and crew family, but his loyalty seems to stop the second money's on the line. Not everybody is clapping for Perry's so-called success. After House of Pain and Meet the Browns blew up, NPR published an open letter to him from African-American journalist and cultural critic Jamila Lemieux. While she gave him credit for breaking barriers, she didn't hold back on the real issue, his heavy reliance on stereotypes that many find damaging. She pointed out Perry's go-to characters: bumbling, emasculated Black men, and loud, sassy Black women. And then there's Madea, his most famous creation. A gun-toting, trash-talking grandmother played by Perry himself in a wig, dress, and padding. Through her, the country laughed at the very figure that has always been sacred in the Black community, the matriarch. Her words cut deep. I just can't quite get with seeing Mother Dear played by a 6'3" man with prosthetic breasts flopping in the wind. Our mothers and grandmothers deserve so much more than that. Heck, our fathers and grandfathers deserve more too. She admitted she respected how Perry told Hollywood's gatekeepers to kiss his backside, but reminded him that many black audiences shared the same exact criticism that white critics have been saying all along, and she wasn't alone. One of Perry's loudest critics has always been acclaimed filmmaker Spike Lee. The two giants of black cinema could never see eye to eye, and their feud has fueled headlines for years. While both worked to put black culture on screen, their styles couldn't be more different. Perry leaned into broad comedy and melodrama, while Spike built his legacy on unapologetic, thought-provoking storytelling. The tension really exploded around 2009 when Spike, never one to bite his tongue, torched Perry's work in public. He flat out accused Perry's shows and movies of spreading coonery and buffoonery, reinforcing the very stereotypes black creators were supposed to be fighting against.
It's coonery and buffoonery. And I know it's making a lot of money, breaking records, but we could do better.
Spike didn't soften his words either. In an interview with Black Enterprise, he compared Perry's content to the lazy, cartoonish caricatures seen on what he dismissed as the idiot box. It was a direct hit, and it forced fans to pick sides in a battle between two cultural powerhouses. That was a brutal jab at television as a whole. Spike wasn't holding back one bit. Sure, he admitted Perry is smart and knows how to draw a crowd.
A lot of this is on us. You know, you vote with your pocketbook, your wallet, you vote with your time, sitting in front of the idiot box.
And let's be real, Tyler Perry has built one of the biggest fan bases in entertainment, pumping out shows and movies that audiences clearly eat up. But Spike wasn't impressed with the image Perry was putting out. He accused him of chasing ratings at any cost, even if it meant recycling harmful stereotypes for laughs.
And I know it's making a lot of money, breaking records, but we could do better.
And here's the thing, plenty of people think Spike had a point. Perry's comedies often rely on loud, over-the-top characters that critics say reinforce the very same caricatures Hollywood used for decades. Perry defends himself by saying he's giving black actors steady work and creating opportunities, but detractors argue that money alone isn't an excuse to push damaging images back into the mainstream. One critic even compared it to a drug dealer claiming they're helping the community just because they bring in cash. The truth? The damage still outweighs the profit. The same goes for giant corporations. Sure, they provide jobs, but they also crush small businesses in the process. Just because it's profitable doesn't mean it's right. Spike, meanwhile, has built his career on flipping the script. His films aim to uplift black culture without leaning into tired cliches. His movies might not always dominate the box office, but for Spike, it's about the message, the authenticity, and telling stories that carry weight for generations.
A lot of this is on us. You know, you vote with your pocketbook, your wallet, you vote with your time, sitting in front of the idiot box.
But Tyler Perry, he wasn't about to let Spike's shots go unanswered. Oh no, he came back swinging. In 2009, during a 60 Minutes interview, Perry was asked directly about Spike's criticisms. And that's when he exploded. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't dodge it. He snapped that he was sick and tired of hearing Spike's name every time someone questioned his work. And then came the line that shocked everyone. Perry flat out said that Spike Lee could go straight to hell. It was raw, it was personal, and it turned a creative disagreement into a full-blown war between two of the biggest names in black cinema. Tyler Perry wasn't having any of Spike Lee's coonery and buffoonery critique. In fact, he snapped back like never before. He basically told Spike to mind his own business and quit firing shots at him and other power players in Hollywood. Perry made it crystal clear he wasn't about to let Spike's words slide, not when names like Oprah and Clint Eastwood were being dragged into it too. "I'm so sick of hearing about damn Spike Lee," Perry raged, according to Box Office magazine. "Spike can go straight to hell. You can print that. I am sick of him talking about me. Sick of him saying this is a coon, this is a buffoon. I'm sick of him talking about black people going to see movies as if we don't know what we want to watch. I'm sick of him. He talked about Whoopi, he talked about Oprah, he talked about me, he talked about Clint Eastwood. Spike needs to shut the hell up. It was one of Perry's most explosive public statements ever. But here's the twist. Not everyone bought it. Fans quickly pointed out that Perry's movies often do lean heavily on stereotypes, painting black families with one-dimensional caricatures and portraying relationships in extreme problematic ways. And then the darker allegations started resurfacing. Rumors of a toxic work environment on his sets, whispers of forced religious practices, and speculation about Perry's stance on LGBTQ+ issues. Viewers have also noticed a troubling trend. In many of his films, dark-skinned black male actors are cast as the villains.
I'm not a Tyler Perry fan, so this is what I got to say. It's funny how he got all this money to do everything but the right thing. And this lets me know that he's scared of white people.
While lighter-skinned actors often land the good or redeemed roles. One woman even went viral after claiming Perry harbored a fear of white people, which, she argued, shaped his casting choices and business decisions. Shockingly, her comments gained traction, with others stepping forward to say they noticed the same troubling patterns in his projects.
And they said they loved the script, but they wasn't sure how the film was going to turn out, so they passed.
These conversations left a lot of fans uneasy, fueling suspicion that there's a deeper truth hidden behind Perry's glossy empire. Could that be why some dark-skinned actors have quietly turned down roles in his productions? The questions keep piling up, and the cracks in Perry's carefully crafted brand are becoming impossible to ignore.
He starts to block us, telling the actors where to go, where to stand. Mr. Perry comes in, everything changes. So we literally run the entire episode for him.
Plenty of people argue that Perry has a troubling pattern, casting dark-skinned actors as villains while giving lighter-skinned or white characters the roles of saviors and heroes. That perception has sparked heated debates within his audience, with more and more viewers pointing out the imbalance.
Pitiful black woman being abused by a no-good, dark-skinned man, and then saved and rescued by the perfect light-skinned man.
Even Chris Rock couldn't resist calling it out. At one event, he took direct aim at Perry's storytelling habits, noting how rarely his films feature respectful, loving, dark-skinned boyfriends. To make his point, Rock dropped a name that shook the room, Tupac Shakur. He joked that if Pac were alive today, he might be a political leader, but then again, he might be in a Tyler Perry movie right now. And if that happened, according to Rock, Tupac might be the bad dark-skinned boyfriend in a Tyler Perry movie. Chris Rock drove it home with a brutal punchline. I'd hope Pac would be a senator, but in Tyler Perry's world, he might be kicking Jill Scott down a flight of stairs. The crowd laughed, but the underlying point was deadly serious. Rock was highlighting how Perry's casting patterns lean toward negative stereotypes, ones that push dark-skinned men into abusive, broken roles, while painting lighter-skinned characters as the good ones. Rock's critique echoes Spike Lee's earlier blast at Perry, and together, the two heavyweights raised the same uncomfortable question. Are Perry's billion-dollar movies successful because they lean into biased, harmful portrayals? And if so, what damage does that do to the image of black culture on screen?
Now, are we going back to Mantan Moreland and Sleep and Eat?
Yet, if those films, I mean, we're talking about Tyler Perry.
Looking closer, the truth is, colorism has been baked into Hollywood for decades. It's not unique to Perry, but his massive platform puts it under an unforgiving spotlight. In recent years, conversations about representation have gotten louder, fueled by online campaigns and hashtags that spread from Twitter timelines to primetime news. Viewers are demanding better, and Perry's empire isn't escaping that scrutiny. And while Hollywood has faced scandal after scandal, from the Me Too movement to the downfall of Harvey Weinstein, the whispers around Perry's casting choices hit differently. They're not about criminal behavior, but about the subtle yet powerful ways his films might be shaping how millions view black love, black families, and black identity on screen. By 2017, Hollywood was drowning in scandal. Waves of SA allegations tore the mask off the industry, exposing a toxic culture that thrived for decades in the shadows. Even as diversity slowly increased, Discrimination and bias never really went away. The 2020 Oscars proved that yet again, with another racial controversy boiling over after Lupita Nyong'o's jaw-dropping performance in Us was completely snubbed, and this same problem shows up in movies and shows today, with Tyler Perry standing out as one of the most glaring examples. Fans have noticed the troubling pattern for years. In Perry's world, dark-skinned characters are too often cast as the villains. A prime example, Steve Harris as Charles McCarter in Perry's classic Diary of a Mad Black Woman. On paper, Charles was a successful lawyer, but on screen, he was anything but admirable. He openly admitted to his wife Helen that he had another woman, humiliated her, and then ruthlessly kicked her out of their own home. That role cemented Perry's reputation for painting dark-skinned men as abusers, cheaters, and cold villains. When critics like Spike Lee blasted Perry's shows for taking black people back to the days of Amos and Andy, Perry tried to spin it. In his 60 Minutes interview, he brushed it all off by saying his characters were simply bait, funny, charming, outrageous personalities used to grab attention. "I can slap Medea on something," he said, and talk about God, love, faith, forgiveness, family. In his mind, that justified the stereotypes because it allowed him to slip in bigger messages. But when pressed harder, Perry's patience snapped. He got less diplomatic, flat out telling hip Hollywood that Spike Lee could go to hell, and instead of reflecting on the criticism, he doubled down, shifting the outrage onto another hot-button topic, weight. When The Root called him out for leaning on caricatures of fat black characters, Perry got defensive. "I was so offended," he said, "because my aunt's fat, my mother's fat, my cousins are fat. People would say, 'How dare you?' And I'd just go." His tone made it clear he wasn't taking the critique seriously at all. But editor Demetria Lucas Doyley wasn't buying it. She clapped back, questioning whether Perry was living in the same kind of insulated bubble that once surrounded R. Kelly, so cut off from reality that he couldn't even grasp why audiences were offended. To her, Perry's dismissiveness wasn't just arrogance. It was proof of how disconnected he had become from the very community his work claimed to represent. Let's be real, hardly anyone is losing sleep over the weight of Perry's characters. And on that front, even some critics side with him, calling the body-shaming backlash flat out ignorant. But Perry's controversies run far deeper than waistlines. In 2014, the Huffington Post took aim at the disturbing ending of his film Temptation. In the movie, an unfaithful wife cheats on her husband, only to contract HIV, while the husband moves on to start a perfect new family with a beautiful new wife. The implication was impossible to ignore. HuffPost writer Mike Ryan openly questioned whether Perry was pushing the idea that cheating deserved a terrible disease, or worse, if he thought his audience would accept that message without question. He admitted Perry came across as warm in person, but the film left him with only two conclusions. Either Perry truly believed cheaters deserved HIV, or he assumed his paying audience did. His verdict? I can't decide which is worse, and Ryan wasn't the only one raising alarms. BuzzFeed writer Louis Pitzman added gasoline to the fire when he pointed out that Temptation featured not just one, but three characters who ended up with HIV. For many, the movie practically framed the virus as divine punishment, a moral hammer for infidelity, a harmful and outdated narrative that critics blasted as both reckless and dangerous. Even more damning, this wasn't Perry's first time using HIV as a punishment plotline. In Four Colored Girls, Janet Jackson's character Jo contracts HIV after discovering her husband's affairs with men. The film all but implied that she bore some of the blame for staying silent about his sexuality. Critics were quick to call it out as a toxic blend of homophobia and victim blaming, two recurring issues in Perry's work that audiences can't ignore anymore. And it doesn't stop there. Perry's reliance on cross-dressing for laughs, especially through his Medea character, has also stirred backlash. Comedians like Dave Chappelle have openly slammed Hollywood's obsession with putting black men in dresses, arguing it's more than just a cheap gag. It's part of a troubling pattern in entertainment that reduces gender expression to comedy and strips it of nuance. Perry, of course, insists Medea is nothing but lighthearted fun. But for critics, the joke feels tired. and some believe it plays into a much deeper Hollywood agenda. With HIV storylines weaponized, stereotypes pushed to the extreme, and Medea's cross-dressing still up for debate, Perry's empire isn't just about faith, forgiveness, and family. It's layered with controversy that refuses to die down. The truth is, Perry's brand of humor doesn't just rely on wigs and dresses. It can end up mocking people who don't fit traditional gender roles, especially trans folks, by turning their very existence into a punchline. What some call comedy can easily reinforce harmful stereotypes, making it harder for already marginalized communities to be taken seriously in the real world. Sure, comedy can be powerful and even spark conversations, but it should never come at the cost of those still fighting just to be seen and respected. And maybe that's why Cassi Davis found herself in such a dangerous position. She wasn't just battling illness, she allegedly knew too much about Perry's empire, from the shady deals to the ugly truths behind the scenes. Insiders even claim she was threatened in the most twisted way possible, with fake news about her own death spreading online like wildfire. The public reaction was fierce. One person wrote, "Hollywood is like those in the White House now. Creeps, all creeps." Another added, "Protect Ms. Cassi Davis at all costs. God bless you, Ms. Cassie." The outcry proved just how much love and loyalty fans still carry for her, even as whispers suggest she was pushed aside for knowing secrets too hot to handle. And now the question hangs in the air. What truth was Cassie sitting on that made her such a threat to one of the most powerful men in Hollywood? Drop your theories in the comments, hit that like button, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss what's coming next. Because trust me, this story is far from over. See you in the next one.